Okay, well, a very good evening to everybody out there. My name is Greg Schwem. Welcome to the live stream of A Comedian Crashes Your Pad. I can see already that we might have some issues because I'm using video clips in this live stream, and as a result, it might cause a bit of a lag, so just bear with us. We are using StreamYard for this. StreamYard is one of the best live streaming services. They have some really cool features on there that I do hope you'll take advantage of. So sorry about that. We will try and catch up as much as we can. My name is Greg Schwem. I am the host of A Comedian Crashes Your Pad, both the television show and, as you are seeing, also the talk show. This is our inaugural live stream. So thank you for joining us from wherever you are. If you are on the East Coast, thank you. If you're on the West Coast, I know you're still working, so I'm glad that you took a break from work. I am coming to you from my home just outside of Chicago. It is an absolutely beautiful day here. It is one of those days, it's that first day where it feels like spring. It was like 52 degrees, and as a result, everybody's out there wearing shorts, even though if it was 52 degrees in October, we'd be in parkas. But anyway, that's where we are. So you are probably watching this either on YouTube, maybe you're watching it on Facebook. If you're watching that on one of those platforms, you can take advantage of the chat feature and you can comment. If you're watching on LinkedIn, you cannot do that. You can still watch, you can't chat, you can't comment. So if that's what you really want to do, then navigate over to the YouTube link that I posted on my LinkedIn page, or you can go to facebook.com, A Comedian Crashes Your Pad. For those of you who don't know about me or about the talk show, let me give you a little background about myself and the talk show or the show, A Comedian Crashes Your Pad, before we welcome my guest. I am what they call a corporate stand-up comedian. That's what I've been doing. I've been a comedian for over 30 years, but you don't find me in comedy clubs much anymore. What I do is I do shows for corporate America. I travel around the country, really around the world, and I speak and make the Fortune 500 companies laugh. And I've been doing that for a while. It's fun. I stay in wonderful places back when we could travel, and hopefully we will be doing that again soon. But a couple of years ago, I was getting a little bored. I remember once I interviewed Jay Leno back when I was a newspaper reporter, and Jay Leno said something very interesting. He said, "I never fly first class. I always travel coach because nothing funny ever happens in first class," which I thought was really interesting. And I kind of started to feel the same way. I was sitting in my hotels, and don't get me wrong, I stayed in some really nice hotels, but nothing was really going on there. And I'm more of a people person. Now, at the same time, the home sharing market was getting very popular. Airbnbs, Vrbo, those kind of places. Maybe some of you have used those places, and maybe you've been a guest at one of those. And I thought, what kind of a person will actually open up their home to a stranger? That's got to be a very unique person. So what I started doing when I was on the road doing corporate gigs, if I had a day before or a day after, I started staying in these properties just to see who would invite me in. And I met some fascinating people. My suspicions were correct. They are interesting people who do home sharing. And I started thinking, maybe there's something here. Maybe there's an actual series or something like that. So what I did is I started filming my encounters with them, mostly focusing on their on the property themselves. And I stayed in some very unique properties. I wasn't always looking for the most expensive or the most lavish property. I wanted an interesting property. I have stayed on a yacht in Fort Lauderdale with a great gay married couple, and we talked about gay marriage all night long. I have stayed in outdoor tents. I have stayed in tree houses. I have stayed with every animal you can name. And all of these experiences led to the creation of A Comedian Crashes Your Pad. And I was just posting these like most people who start doing original content. I was posting these on my YouTube channel and on my website, and little by little, they started to get a little bit of attraction. And I'm very proud to say that just last November, along comes this distribution and marketing company. There they are, Fantastic. Actually, they're called Fantastic Films, but that's where you can find my streaming sites, fantasticentertainment.com. And they said, we would like to sign you to a distribution and marketing deal. So that's what they did. That's where you can find the episodes. And we are continuing to shoot episodes. And that is the beauty of home sharing, is that you can continue traveling. And we've been able to continue shooting episodes in the midst of the pandemic while a lot of hotels shut down and a lot of hotels have all sorts of rules. The great thing about home sharing, one of the great things, is that you can kind of travel based on your rules. And that's what we've been doing. We have shot episodes during the pandemic. We shot an episode in Nashville. We wore masks the whole time. We shot an episode in French Lick, Indiana in October. We were on a big farm. We were the only people out there. And it's basically how the host feels about it. I do want to say that we're not violating any types of rules. We mask up whenever possible. We want to be safe, and we want everybody else to feel safe too. But it has allowed us to continue shooting episodes, and that's what's so great about what we've been doing. Now, I want to tell you where we just came back from. We just shot an episode in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I want to play, we're still editing the episode, but I want to play you the beginning because this was a place we went. I was performing stand-up comedy there. That's what I try to do. I try to base the episodes around where I'm performing. There haven't been a lot of live places to perform, but we've been able to find some. So I was doing shows at the Kenosha Comedy Club. If you know anything about Kenosha, you know that they've had some bad press recently due to what went on in the summer, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the people who make up this town. So take a look.
Our guest that we've been looking so forward to for over a week now.
Get ready, Wisconsin. There's a fib headed your way.
Person with us
and if you
right
don't
now,
know what a fib is, Google it.
And star
I refuse
of
to
A
say
Comedian
it.
Crashes Your
It's a
Pad.
family show.
Kenosha is a great place to live. I always call this place the country's biggest Mayberry. And I say that because it's a city where you can make a difference. It's a good-sized city. It's a city. But everybody gets to know everybody else. Everybody can make, and if you want to make an influence, you want to get to be known in the city, it's very easy in Kenosha.
So basically, that was one of the aldermen. We interviewed him. We did all sorts of different kinds of episodes there and segments. And those people were a lot of fun. And I did stand up. And if you don't think people in Wisconsin know how to laugh at themselves, take a look at this.
You always know when you're getting close to the Wisconsin border because you start seeing billboards that advertise food. And they're very simple billboards. They're just one word. It's just brats, beer, cheese, fudge. I mean, if you like to eat and you're just learning to read, this is a great state to live in.
I wasn't laughing at myself, by the way. I was laughing at the comment from Peter who said, your hair looks like it's on fire with the white virtual background. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, anybody who wants to comment, that's fine. You can put it in the chat. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, by all means, I want to hear from you. Please, please, please. I do ask that you keep it clean and respectful. I am a clean comedian. This is a clean show. Comedian Crashes Your Pad and always will be. So I do hope that you take that into account when you're commenting. But myself and my guest, who you'll meet in just a minute, want to hear from you. Now, where will we be going next? We are leaving next week for Savannah, Georgia. If anybody is watching this in the Savannah area, I will be working the Savannah Comedy Review next Saturday, March 13th. I believe that is St. Patty's Day. So that's going to be a wild show, and Savannah is a wild town. We've got great episodes. We've got great segments lined up. Did you know that Savannah has a Philharmonic? Yeah, that's true. Okay. So we're going to be shooting that. We're going to talk to the mayor, and we're going to be staying in a really cool carriage house as well. In just a moment, we're going to meet a host that I stayed with about a year ago, just before things shut down. Couple of things before, if you're just joining us, please do grab a beverage. You have to be drinking because this is a virtual call. That is one thing I have figured out, that since this pandemic started, because we're all on Zoom, we've become a nation of sippers, right? We just always have to be drinking something during the call. And I am no different. I have an assortment of beverages that I turn to. It kind of depends on, how the show is going. I'll just say I had a very difficult Zoom show, 9:00 this morning. This was up to here back then. But anyway, so yeah, grab yourself a beverage. And before I bring in our guest, I do want to thank my sponsors and people who have been so nice as we continue to shoot episodes. So I want to thank my sponsors. This is Pitmaster LT's barbecue sauce, great line of Kansas City-based sauces and rubs. Check them out. Disinfect and Shield. These guys make a line of surface cleaners and hand sanitizers that have been proven very effective in combating COVID-19 germs. This goes with me everywhere. The author, William Natali, he wrote this amazing book, The Resurrection of Borrachi. He was a sponsor to one of the episodes. Check this book out online. And also our newest sponsor, Bernie Martin from Catou Clothing, who just yesterday told me he's going to set me up and make me look good in Savannah. That's Catou, C-A-T-O-U clothing. He's got his work cut out for him. That's for sure. Now, that being said, I would like to introduce my first guest. Actually, she's my only guest, but we could talk all day. Now, I mentioned that she hosted me about a year ago, and this was right before things started to shut down. We were in Nashville, and at this point, we weren't using masks. Masks weren't a thing then. Remember the first thing we did is we tried to stay 6 feet apart. We were fist bumping each other and elbow bumping, and that's when I met her. So I want to first tell you a little bit about what she does for a living. She is a Nashville-based singer-songwriter. She actually has crash pads, which she refers to as writer's pads. She has one in Nashville and one in San Diego. Let's take a look at her.
Saltiness, margaritas, sailing ships in the sunshine. Just kiss away the taste of the sugar line. Waiting in line, you know we had a good time in the sunshine.
There you go. Everybody say hello to Lacy Younger, all the way from her crash pad in San Diego. Hi, Lacy. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Just great. Thanks. It's nice to see you again.
It's so nice to see you.
And one of my favorite artists right behind you, Tom Petty. That's great. So this is your little home. This is where you do all your Zoom calls from and so forth with Tom in the background.
Listen, I'm so new to I run away from Zoomage. I've been like, people been in lockdown and the whole thing. I embraced it for so long. I was like, no phone calls, no Zooming, no nothing. Now I'm trying to get with the program. I'm very late. I'm a late bloomer. And but I'm doing it.
Yeah. And I will say one thing for people like you and me. For people like you and me, this is kind of a creative time for us since we are artistes. You're a musician, I'm a comedian, and it's really allowed me to work on my material and so forth. Now I'm ready to go out and try it on somebody. Thank you, Kenosha, for letting me do that. I want to show the audience a clip of kind of how we met. So as I said before I brought you on, it was kind of weird. We planned to shoot and we got as far as basically your living room. And we decided at that point, maybe it wasn't a good idea for me to actually stay at your place, even though I was going to. And this is when you were in Nashville. But let's have the audience take a look at how we met on that episode.
Hello.
Hi, Lacy.
Hey.
How are you?
Come on in.
Thank you so much.
You're
Pleasure to be here. Great to be in Nashville.
It's my pleasure to have you here.
By the way, backstage door. Did you steal this from somebody?
No, I got this at some like thrift vintage shop where you had to dig through stuff. I love stores like that.
Have you ever written anything that's just amazing here? Or?
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. I know a guy. His name is Greg. He's a comedian. I'm not pulling your leg. He's gonna crash my pad. I'm gonna let him in. If he ain't funny, I'll kick him out again.
And that was just done completely off the cuff, which is kind of the way I like all the episodes to go. There's no scripting involved in these. We just go ahead and we do it, right?
That. I love it live. It's the most fun. You never know what's going to pop out of someone's mouth. And by the way, you said we're keeping it clean, so
yep. I told you that a year ago too, didn't I? Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Now you got to tell me though. As I said, you have two pads. One in Nashville. You are currently at the writer's pad in San Diego. By the way, that clip that we showed of you, where was that? Where were you on stage? Were you in San Diego?
Oh, that was at Humphreys on Shelter Island. It's a beautiful venue. It's outdoor. It seats like 2,500, I think. And then on one side, the bay and the inlet's right there, and all the boats can come up and kind of.
That sounds great. I've never been over there. You know, it's weird. Every time I go to San Diego, probably the last 5 times I've gone has always been for a corporate gig, to do a corporate comedy gig. And they always tell me the same thing. I always usually show up the night before because it's a West Coast gig. And they say, hey, if you want to come to our opening night party, it's going to be really cool. And I know exactly what they're going to say. And I don't say it to them. But what they're going to say is, it's on the aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah.
Right? For those of you, yeah, for those of you who've never been to San Diego, they have this aircraft carrier that's parked in the harbor, right? And you can not only tour it, but you can rent it out for private parties. And I have been on that thing probably 7 or 8 times.
Yeah,
and,
pretty cool deck up there.
Have you ever performed on there?
No, I was going to. I was setting something up, in fact, just prior to the pandemic, you know, and but that kind of got kiboshed.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how many stories end with either just prior to the pandemic or and then COVID hit?
Yeah,
right.
I know. Crazy.
Everybody on this call, you probably had some amazing thing happen, and then you ended it with and then COVID hit. You know? What did you do in 2020? I passed the bar and I was about to get a job at a major law firm, and then COVID hit. Right. So that's going to be the slogan of 2020. Thankfully, we're out of it now. So you're out in San Diego, and yet have you continued to host? Have you continued to host people like me during the pandemic?
Yes, I mean, you know, it's kind of interesting because initially it was like, oh no, it hit everybody, like that own businesses like mine, where people canceled a lot. But then soon after, people were looking for, you know, a place to kind of hang out and be locked in that's different from their home, you know, because they're just over it and they wanted just a new atmosphere. So in that way, you know, it just kind of did pick back up not too long after. There was definitely a pause in my business, but things are definitely picking up. And so I have the place here in San Diego Writers Pad, and I have the Writers Pad Nashville. And I'm actually looking for another one. I'm looking for like a cabin, like a little woodsy kind of place.
Which are very popular now. Would that be for you or for your guests?
Well, everything's for me first and foremost, and then I share everything. So I travel all the time. That's part of my life, and it always has been. So the places that I do have are home to me in a sense, but you know, I'm never there for very long.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I will say, I found you on one of the home sharing sites. Sometimes I use the home sharing sites if I'm at places. Sometimes it's word of mouth. And by the way, anybody who has a home sharing property that they think would look great on, they think would look really good in an episode. I know Peter, who's on the chat, told me that he's got an Airstream that's available in Virginia. You never know. I've stayed at an Airstream, but I'd always stay at another one. But you can always hit me.
I want an Airstream.
Airstreams are great. Yeah. Greg at comediancrashesyourpad.com. You can always hit me up there. But I will say, when I decided to stay with you, I was a little intimidated because you called it the Writer's Pad. And I thought, well, is it just something for musicians? Again, this was the one in Nashville. And I know that when we talked, you said that that's kind of who you do cater to, right?
I mean, I did. That was my idea behind, you know, setting these places up. I want them to be a creative space for writers, you know, poets, authors, and people, musicians. That's why I supply. Both places have. One place has a piano, tons of guitars, bass, electric and acoustic. This place has a lot of instruments also. But no, you certainly don't. No, you do not have to like. Do not write a poem. Do not pass go. And it's, you know, I try to cater to the artsy, you know, creative people, but tourists love my places too. People
yeah. Well, I'm sure they love you too, and just love the stories. And by the way, the one thing I remember from our interview, I asked you. And I think, you know, entertainers, when we get together, we always talk about, you know, what's your favorite gig? What's the worst gig? We were talking about like, what's the worst green room that you ever had to sit in before? I mean, that's therapeutic for us. But I remember when I was interviewing you and I asked you what was the coolest venue you ever played, you said it was Arlington Racetrack. And I went, in Arlington Heights, Illinois? And you went, yes. And that is where I grew up. I grew up in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And my very first concert when I was 8 years old, my parents took me to see Glenn Campbell. Don't turn off the stream, you guys. I shouldn't have even mentioned that. Glenn Campbell at Arlington Park Racetrack, and then you played there. So right there, we bonded and we talked for like another 30 minutes. But do you find, so have you hosted jam sessions?
Yes. I mean, in Nashville, even here, but in Nashville, you know, I've had a lot of people come over, friends, and we record. Sometimes we just get together and play. And, you know, Kirsty Manna, who's a good friend of mine, she and her husband, Bill Warner, he produces me. I record with them a lot, but she wrote Blake Shelton's first hit, Austin.
Okay.
They come over a lot. I cook for them a lot. And because we love to eat, you know. And sometimes, you know, we'll play music. Then Melody Guy, it's just Lauren Sheff, a bunch of people have been over there just kind of horsing around, you know. Right.
But eventually the instruments come out and it sounds like it becomes productive.
It's fun. I mean, we just have fun. I mean, we like the times where there's no pressure and we're not having to, you know, do anything where people have expectations. When we come to my house, we just want to eat, have cocktails, play some music. I'm kind of the one that's known for jumping in and being able to harmonize on songs that I don't even know. It's a weird like channeling thing.
Yeah.
That's fun to do. We love singing harmony and just playing a lot of acoustic stuff. And Kirsty is master on the piano. I am not. I love to pound away. I'm play by ear, but you know. Right.
Okay. Now tell me about, you know, Nashville. Just prior to the shutdown, Nashville was probably one of the most booming cities. And I think it still is. I mean, I know I think they've been a little more liberal than a lot of cities on restrictions and so forth. But tell me about the scene in Nashville. What's going on? I mean, there's probably hundreds and maybe thousands of musicians like you that moved there to further your career. And how's that going? I mean, what's the vibe of the city right now?
I mean, I think people just like Hollywood, you know, starlets or hopefuls moving there since forever, for like 100 years. That's been going on in Nashville forever and ever too. It's nothing new. And, you know, it's just the big dreamers. They show up there. And I think the you know, doors that you could open back when I first started going there, you know, 28, whatever, however many, when I was 10, long time ago, you know, it's harder to kind of access those doors in the way that I used to and cold call people. And now it's just a lot different. Yeah. However, the opportunity is the same. I feel like those things are relative in places like that, hubs, entertainment hubs of the world, you know, Hollywood, Nashville, just people like Nashville's still booming. Their, you know, real estate is going insane, but I feel like there's been a lot of revitalization, you know, to downtown and to the surrounding areas. And I just feel like there's potential for, just as there always was, and there always will be, for the people that are diehard dreamers and have made up their mind that they're gonna, you know, do what they're gonna do, or just those are the people that cannot be stopped, and those opportunities always exist. So a long yes answer to that.
Well, yeah, I was trying to cut you off because I want to play some more of your music, and then I want to talk a little bit about your influences. So let's watch, everybody. Lacy Younger.
What really matters? What happens between two people? Behind closed doors, people? What really matters most? If you have that thing, you know what I'm talking about. Been a long time, lonely. But it's been a long.
Wow, that was quite the segue there.
Ending. Oh my God, that's so funny.
We ended up with Zeppelin. That's great. And you know, I keep talking about country music. We talked about this a little bit when I was staying at your place for the time that I was there. You're not really a country girl, though, are you? You're sort of in Nashville. You're kind of a I don't want to say an imposter, but you're just not. You're not country. You're a little more rock and roll.
I'm very much rock and roll. But I always like, have had that issue, especially in radio and the music industry, because they are always trying to pigeonhole your style. And where do we put her on the radio? And where does this fit? And I've always been like, in LA, they'd be like, oh my God, you're like rock, but you kind of have this Southern rock country edge. And in Nashville, they'd be like, you're kind of, Americana. Before even Americana, they just said country rock, but you got too much rock edge. So, I had to I've had 2 record deals, and both times, thank God, I had people that had some vision and realized that just like, I'm a songwriter, I'm inspired by life. And, I've been influenced over the many, many years I've been on this planet by other artists when I was very young. And my stuff is kind of, I've been called retro, groove, whatever, but I'm rock and roll with kind of a Southern edge. There's that blues Southern edge. So, we'll have to invent a new genre that fits just me.
Now, how does a girl looking to invent a new genre get into home sharing?
I've always had, I had a couple properties here in San Diego, and managed them myself, and I kind of wanted to venture out. And in Nashville, I've been going there for many, many years, working back and forth. And I always said I was going to buy something there. And so it just seemed like the next thing to do. I told somebody that I had here, and it just ended up being a really good move for me. And I enjoy it a lot. And So I came up with that idea to offer instruments, and set it up so if someone shows up, they don't have to lug everything. And I wanted to buy something near Music Row and downtown, so they could be just like a couple miles from Music Row and go record and go back and forth. And that was the idea behind it. And then I realized I want to have one in England. I don't want to have one in the mountains. I'm going to keep on going.
Right. Now, I got a question for you. And, you're the second musician I've stayed with. I actually stayed with a family of musicians. I didn't know they were a musical family. I knew they took in musicians. This was in San Antonio. If you want to see that episode, you can go over here. And that's a shorter episode. You can also see that on my YouTube channel right there. Family of musicians from San Antonio. And again, I had no idea. Next thing you know, I was there for about an hour. Next thing you know, we were out on the front porch drinking beer, and they were having a jam session, and it was just so much fun. Now, I got to ask this, because I always wonder this when I show up. I've never met the people before. This is for anybody who home shares or anybody who wants to use a home share. Are you nervous when you open the door? Because you don't know these people.
Guess what? I'm not nervous. And the only person I personally open the door to is you.
What does everybody else do?
I'm not there because I'm so OCD. I'm afraid if I'm there and I greet people, I'm going to show them how to turn every knob and how not to mess up the refrigerator and so I need to like bow out prior to them even arriving. And I just leave instructions. And then I'm available 24/7 if something goes wrong, and they can text or call me. That's how I operate.
Okay.
You don't want me opening
there's a lot of people who are like that. I mean, I have stayed in places where they want to hang out with you. I've stayed in places where they don't want to have anything to do with you. Yeah. Most are kind of in the middle. They're kind of like, we'll give you your space, but we're right in the next room or upstairs or in the, I'm in the carriage house or the mother-in-law house out and back, and they're willing to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it sounds like that's what have you ever had an encounter with a guest where you're like, this is a really fun person, and you ended up just kind of hanging out that evening or something? You don't have to say me.
And I'm like, not like you said, you're kind of in between. I'm an extremist. So I'm like either fully into the experience and I want to hang out and they have to like kick me out, or I make sure that I'm not there at all because I just don't want anything to do with it. I'm one or the other. But I do, if I'm in my house in Nashville and someone's coming right when I'm leaving, sometimes I hang out, I'll bake them things and they'll show up and I'll be like, oh, I made you a pie. And, and then we start talking about things that we have in common. And then I just get all inspired and I want to hang out, and they have to show me.
You ever written a song about you ever written a song about a guest?
No.
Or an experience?
No, but I've written songs about everyone. We were just talking about this in the studio, Bill and I, because I was like, wow, that one song of mine, that's kind of harsh on. I mean, I know that a lot of my songs are just fiction or novelty, but the majority of them are truth. But a lot of times I embellish and just the truth grows into a different, animal.
Yeah.
So, this percentage is from the truth, and then I just explore or I expand. And so, but there's a couple songs I have where I was like, oh gosh, that X is that's gonna hurt. I feel bad about this one song. I'm harsh. And it's like, that's part of being a songwriter. I will release it, and I always do. I apologize.
Now, tell me what you've been doing during the pandemic. We brushed on this topic a little bit earlier about it's sort of opened up a creative juices, and I've been concentrating an awful lot on this series and trying to spread the word about that travel is still an option. And tell me, what are you most proud of that has occurred in the past year?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm one of those people that's all over the board, like you may have already kind of mentioned, with my places, my rentals, and then I write. I've written a children's book. I'll talk about that later, but just things like I'm very much into healing, and I've done some healing work over the many, many years. I do have an aspect to myself that is very intuitive. I won't get all esoteric on you, but I love, empowering others and being helpful in that way, and so I did write I did a 30-day program in the first couple of months when everyone is like full on, I'm not leaving my house kind of thing. And it was a daily kind of, I wrote, a couple paragraphs, and then there was a meditation that went along with it every day. And it was an early morning thing, and I had a bunch of people. We had a large group, and then there was like some journaling. So that was really a positive, wonderful thing to be doing during this time. You know what I mean? And it was really nice. And it was a way to bond with people that I already know very well. And then people they brought in, that strangers, so that was a great thing. I really enjoyed that. And then I've really knuckled down and gotten serious about finishing this record that I've been working on for, oh my God, I don't want to tell you how many years, because
a long time, huh?
Oh my God.
Yeah. One of your fans just jumped on there. Do you see that? Praying for rain.
Rain. Oh, so it's raining here. It is raining here in San Diego. Where it never rains in California, but it does. But you were talking about having winter, and now you're just seeing spring. Well, here it's been like summer for 2 weeks, literally gorgeous. And then today, all of a sudden, we had a little rainstorm, which was so fun. We even had thunder, which we never had.
No way. And you actually still came on the show. I thought maybe you would just say, "Oh, it's thundering. I'm canceling everything." One of those.
I love a storm. Give me one. Give me
I used to live in Florida, and when it got to be like above, they'd have that one cold snap where it got to be like 35 degrees, and everybody would just like, "Oh, let me just grab my sweaters. I brought one when I moved down here from Michigan, and I'm going to put it on." So probably the same thing. So I appreciate that you're putting me ahead of thunder and other weather elements to come on the show. That's very nice of you. How anxious are you to get back on the road, and where would you want to go first?
I'm sorry, what? Where would I want to go first?
I said, how anxious are you to get back on the road, and where would you want to perform first?
Oh my gosh, I haven't performed live, toured in quite a while. I would love to go back and do the UK, and I especially enjoyed Lancaster. The Lancaster Music Festival, they have a castle there, and the way they set up the stage in this castle is just magnificent. I have been lucky enough to be invited to play there a few times, 3 or 4 times. And
I have never worked a castle. I've never performed for a castle audience. Cool. How are castle audiences these days? Are they nice people?
Yes.
From a castle perspective?
The Brits love their music, and they're very, appreciative, and they're just wonderful. And it's such a great backdrop for the whole little town there. It's just wide open, and they have so many venues, and it's lasts for days on end. Things like that I miss a lot. I haven't played Germany even in longer, quite a long time. I love touring Germany. I love playing the West Coast. I have a friend, deploys Millage. We have a duet called the Blonde Bombers. We're actually working on a record too that is acoustic and really juicy. I can't wait to finish this. But she's been coming to Nashville. We've been working on that feverishly. And the tour up and down the West Coast quite often. And we really love doing, what's cool is we're just light, travel light, 2 chicks, and an amp, and
2 chicks and an amp. There's a show there. I think 2 chicks and an amp. I love that.
And we get like wined and dined and just treated like queens, up and down the coast, and of course wine country, and I love it. On the California coast is a great place to tour.
Right.
And it's easy on the vocal cords for me because it's just. It's all about the vocals and the harmonies. There's not a huge band that I'm battling with, and I'm on 11, my guitar player, and I'm like, could you tone it down to 7? So it's not a battle of the loud.
Exactly. All right, I got one more clip I want to play. I don't think I played this one yet, so let's take one more look, and then I want to talk about your new project. So hang on here.
Waiting so long for that rain.
There you go. See, I put the praying for rain comment back out there. So there you go. All right. Now, okay, so you're an artist, you're a songwriter, you're a musician, you have 2 properties, and yet they're like all of a sudden you said, gee, my days are not full enough. I think I can take on another completely different project, which is what?
Yeah, what? Which is what? I do a lot of what.
Yes. No. What is that you said, make sure you mention my
books. Here's my little children's book. It's called Cake. And Cake was our cat. I have a habit of eating my animals' food because I'm a food lover. But I wrote this book was written for 10 years before I ever published it. So I have like 3 children's books. That's how long things, ruminate in here before they actually manifest sometimes. But this book is just for age, newborn to, I would say 11, and new readers. But I illustrated it, and also along with my goddaughter, Darla Schaefer. And at the time, she was only 13 years old. And her watercolor abilities, this is my first self-portrait. Hello. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. And oh gosh, this picture right here cracks me up. Oh well. Anyway, I don't.
So when did this come out?
What's that?
When did the book come out?
About 2 years ago.
Okay. And I see. I put up your. Nice. All right. So you illustrated that as well as your 13-year-old.
I did. I drew. There are like 2 pictures in here that she drew herself because I'm not good at animals. She drew that one and then one other one, but I drew all of them and she did all the watercolor because I'm not a good painter.
Okay. But, yeah. And I put your information, your email up there. If people want to get a copy of that, then you sign it if people go directly to you.
Signed copies, just info@lacyyounger.com, and you can PayPal me $20 signed copies.
There you go. Now, we got a couple minutes left here. If people want to stay at Lacy Younger's writer's pad, either out in San Diego or in Nashville, and hopefully you do, just for a fun evening or a fun afternoon of music and conversation, what would be the best way to find you? Where are you listed?
So I have my own website, which is thewriterspad.life.
Okay.
You can also find it everywhere like VRBO, HomeAway, and Airbnb. But if you want to cut out the middleman, you can just email me at booking@lacyyounger.com. That's booking at LACYYOUNGER.com. Okay. And that's the way to get the deal. And there's also, I have the Facebook pages for the Writer's Pad Nashville and the Writer's Pad San Diego.
Sure.
So you can find me all over the place. But you can go look on VRBO. You can look on my website and you can see photos and check it out.
And are you? You think this is going to be a good year for home sharing? Are you booked? Are you fairly? You got some fun people coming in.
It's starting to look good. Yes, and I think, like I said, even there are limitations in different cities, and Nashville, like you said, it's really opened up quite a bit. I mean,
much more so than California.
And you just have to wear your mask. But I mean, it's just nice, I think, too, to have a change of scenery for people that are sick of looking at their own 4 walls or 10 walls or whatever. I'm looking at 4 walls.
Right. And I like your idea of getting a cabin in the woods too, because as I said, people are looking for that kind of stuff now too, because people want more open space. They want more privacy. They want to feel more in control, I think, of their travel. And you get those places, again, like the treehouse, the glamping, places where people can feel more in control of, like there's nobody around them. And that's what we're going to be focusing on a lot in 2021. So Lacy, it was great to see you.
It was
all right.
Thanks.
I mean, I hate the fact that we can't do this in person again, but I'm glad I got to meet you. I'm sorry I didn't get to do the entire episode and have everything, because I'm sure you were going to cook me just a delicious Nashville breakfast, right? The next morning.
You know it. You can do it another
Here's where the connection gets bad, right? But who knows? Maybe when things we're on our way back, and I would love to come back and see you again. So,
I hope you do.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Great seeing you. And put all your information up there. And everybody, make sure you can go and you can download Lacy's music as well. Great seeing you. Take care.
See you, Greg. Thanks.
All right. Hey, that was pretty good for the first one. And she's a delight. And like I said, please look her up and make sure that you go and crash her pad sometime too. I think this is a pretty good episode for the first time out. I want to thank StreamYard. I had tweeted to them and I said, I hope that you're watching, because if things don't go well, I'm going to hunt you down. But other than a few little glitches, I think this is the way to go. I'm glad that everybody was entertained by this. I hope that you were. And a little bit more about what we're going to be doing. Again, as I said, we are seeking investors. We are seeking more sponsors so we can continue to shoot episodes. I have my email up here. And if you would like to hit me up and talk a little bit about me coming to crash your pad, I have a 1 or 2 person crew. We're very non-obtrusive. We work fast and we continue to pump out what I think are great episodes. So hit me up there. Make sure that you also visit this place here, fantastic-entertainment.com. That's where you can, for a very nominal fee, and I mean like $1.99, you could actually download full episodes like the one that I shot with Lacy. So thank you very much, everybody. It was great. And I just want to end this by saying, everybody do keep laughing, because that's what's going to get us through this. It has been what's gotten us through this. Please stay safe. Please continue to wear a mask. I just got my 2nd vaccination yesterday. I feel great. I am ready to head back out there. And for those of you who maybe jumped in at the end, don't worry about it. I will be posting this entire interview on both my YouTube and my Facebook page. Until then, have a great afternoon. Have a great evening. And look for another episode. We're going to do this on a regular basis now. I'm going to try and bring in people from all over the world. That is the one great thing about virtual, is you can reach out to people from all corners of the globe. Stay safe, everybody. Take care.